Hay fever's a bitch. So yeah, this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 95, and of course we had Ultimate Spider-Man issue 94 in the previous review, and so we might as well see what happened in the previous issue. So if you remember, Deadpool and the Ravagers, I think they're called the Ravagers, went up against the X-Men and Spider-Man on this TV show known as Krakoa Island, live streamed to millions of people across the planet. Deadpool and the Ravagers went through some crazy cybernetic altering to create the perfect person to kill the X-Men, and of course we saw that creepy part with Deadpool actually having his mask ripped off and it being revealed that, well, he doesn't really have much of a face left anymore, which was awful. It was probably one of the most gruesome comic sagas in the entire Ultimate Spider-Man series, just because Professor X was getting tortured, and there was just some really brutal moments in it where you was like, damn, never seen anything like that in an Ultimate Spider-Man comic before, to get that dark and serious. But then again, it's good that it's getting a bit more serious, because obviously the readers of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics are growing up as this series goes along. So the Ultimate Spider-Man series released once a month, so 12 issues is a year. So if you're on Ultimate Spider-Man issue 90, I mean, that's nearly 8 years. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. Well, 7 to 8 years really. And so yes, the readers of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics are growing up as this series goes along. And so it's nice to see that the Ultimate Spider-Man series is sort of growing as well and sort of maturing as the issues go on. It's really cool, and that's what I really like about the Ultimate Spider-Man series. As you can see by the front cover, we had Morbius the vampire on the front cover of the Ultimate Spider-Man issue 95, and of course that means we are being introduced to vampires in this comic. So yeah, it's really exciting, and of course there might be the appearance of Blade. So yeah, without any further ado guys, let's get into this review. Remember to click the link in the description to check out my video on my second channel that I uploaded last week. I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get into this review. Let's go. Alright, so we're opening up the issue, and we are swinging on over to a few months ago when Spider-Man's swinging around the city, and of course by now we're 95 issues in. You would have thought that we would have seen it all by now, but we are literally only just getting into the Vampire Saga of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and as you can see on screen, we've got this character being chased by this very mysterious other character. And for any of you guys that know the Spider-Man universe and the Marvel universe, you will recognize that character as Blade the Vampire Hunter. But before we get into that, we can see that Spider-Man gets a very nasty surprise when this person turns around and actually turns out to be a vampire and lunges onto Spider-Man. And I just love it how Spider-Man's super freaked out by this interaction. And then Blade, of course, steps in and stabs the vampire clean through the heart, turning it to dust. And Blade literally picks up Spider-Man by the neck and threatens him before taking off. And I thought that was just awesome, the dark artwork and just the colours and the way that it's all sort of mysterious and very gloomy sort of thing in a back alleyway. And not really too much is going on, but yeah, a lot of dark colours obviously because it's a vampire and everything, so yeah, I really like that. Now going on over back to the present, joining Peter Parker on the phone with Kitty Pryde. Now obviously these guys from the previous issue just got off Krakoa Island after defeating the Ravagers and Deadpool on that TV show being live streamed to millions across the planet. And we're joining them here because it has now been revealed and cast across the planet that Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man are now obviously in a relationship because they were seen on the live stream on Krakoa Island hugging each other. And of course that means that Kitty Pryde can no longer be seen in public with Peter Parker, because that means that Peter Parker would be Spider-Man if Kitty Pryde is getting all lovey-dovey with Peter in public. And so Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde have basically just become a celebrity relationship. They've got these restrictions all of a sudden. And of course, I just love it how Kitty Pryde's character is completely freaking out over this, because this is something that she wanted to avoid. And it's really awesome to see Kitty Pryde and Peter Parker just on the pages of these comics. It just never gets old, and I love it. The whole relationship dynamic throughout the entire Ultimate Spider-Man series is just so good. Can't get enough. Now moving further into the issue, we are coming back around to this vampire situation, and we can see that Ben Urich, who is one of the most prestigious reporters from the Daily Bugle, has also come across vampires in New York City and actually discovers a woman who is a victim of this vampire attack. And Ben Urich's actually interviewed her and got her side of the story and everything like that, and yet he still needs to find out more because J. Jonah Jameson is having none of it. In case any of you guys don't know, if you get bitten by a vampire, you later become a vampire. So the fact that Ben Urich is potentially going to go back to this woman, yeah, that can't be good. But leaving that behind for a second, let's go over to Peter Parker's love life. As you can see, Mary Jane has actually brought up the situation where Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man are plastered all over the newspapers and magazines of them two caring for each other whilst on Krakoa Island. And of course, this is just awful for Mary Jane because she has to walk around seeing this, knowing that Spider-Man is her ex-boyfriend, and she does not seem happy at all. I mean, we've known Mary Jane for so long throughout every single issue of these Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and it is just heartbreaking to see her like this. I mean, because us as the readers of Ultimate Spider-Man obviously really do care for her character, and it's just awful to see her like this, having to go through this heartbreak of seeing Peter Parker running around with one of these X-Men girls. And one thing that I didn't realise was that he actually started dating Kitty Pryde just 2 weeks after breaking up with Mary Jane. So yeah, I kind of feel like Peter Parker was a bit of an idiot for doing that. So yeah, maybe you should have left it a little bit longer, but yeah, it's a tricky situation. And now going over to the side of things, following Ben Urich's story, he's returned to that woman who was the victim of a vampire attack, and you can see that she's gone full blown like vampire crazy, actually turning into a vampire. And I don't know what it is about being a vampire, but why do they all dress in like sexy clothes and stuff? I mean, is it just like when you become a vampire, do you just learn to dress sexy or something? Like, it's really weird. But as you can see there, she was definitely expecting Ben Urich to return, and when he did, she just straight up bit him on the neck. Now, of course, we don't know whether Ben Urich died, we don't know whether he's about to turn into a vampire, but I honestly can't actually remember whether he does or not. So we'll have to wait and see. But now, of course, moving throughout the comic, you can see that Peter Parker has realised that Ben Urich has been missing for almost a day now. I mean, he didn't return home last night, and so Spider-Man's gone to investigate. He's actually seen a wolf get launched out of a window, turn into a herd of bats, and then fly back into the window and turn back into a wolf again. So that's some crazy vampire stuff going on right there, and Spider-Man jumps in there, and we've got this vampire woman there again. This is obviously the right place to be, and there's all this craziness going on. I mean, this must be Spider-Man entering the world of the vampires and Blade the Vampire Hunter and all of that craziness, and it just seems like nobody wants Spider-Man there. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just kind of dived into this situation without really knowing what's going on. But as we come up to the end of the issue, as we come up to the final page, we get to see Morbius the vampire actually grab Spider-Man and tell him to get out of there, and that he is no help to this situation. And one of the things that actually took me by surprise was the appearance of Morbius and just how he looks in the Ultimate Universe. I mean, he looks like really skinny, but he also looks really powerful and in shape and healthy sort of thing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on that. It kind of looks like he's on the good side of the vampires. Like, I don't know, I can't remember too much. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this comic. And now let's continue the review back on camera. Okay, I am seriously getting really warm in this. So let's just blast this out of the way. So if you saw the issue just then, we had Blade and we had Morbius the vampire turning up at the end there. And we also had Spider-Man going through the complicated side of the relationship with him and Mary Jane from now on, especially because him and Kitty Pryde are now technically public as the celebrity couple. So Mary Jane literally has to walk around in public seeing pictures of Spider-Man, her ex-boyfriend, with another girl from the X-Men on magazine covers, in the newspapers, and you can kind of imagine and relate to that. Now that's got to be pretty hard for Mary Jane to see. I really do feel for Mary Jane. It's actually really upsetting. Oh god, I can't even see. Get this out of my face. One of my favourite things about the entire issue is that you actually felt worried for Ben Urich's character from the Daily Bugle. I mean, he discovered that vampires were technically real, and to confirm that, he went back to that girl that previously got bitten by a vampire, and when he got there, he also got bit by a vampire. You genuinely felt concerned for Ben Urich's character that he's missing, and of course, like Spider-Man, you was hoping that we could find him. And when Spider-Man got there at the end of the issue, he bumped into Morbius the vampire, and of course this crazy wolf character that could turn into bats and stuff, and you can just tell that Spider-Man is freaked out on whatever is going on right now. I mean, it's vampires. I mean, everybody's heard of them, but you definitely believe that they are just a myth. To be honest, I did think that Morbius looked a little bit weird. Like, he looked sort of like a more skinny, powerful vampire. Like, he's a bit more ripped than just being a normal vampire from the Spider-Man 90s cartoon. So I thought that was pretty awesome. It was more like an Ultimate Universe sort of take on his character, and that's what I really liked about that. And of course, at the beginning of the issue, we got the appearance of Blade, who hunts vampires, and so that's really cool to see him in there as well. I hope we actually get to see him in the next issue, because he is an awesome character, especially how he picked Spider-Man up and was just like, don't ever touch me again, and crazy. It was just awesome. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really think this issue was going to be all that good when I first started reading it, just because it was like vampires and it felt like it was just more of a story to sort of fill in until we get to the next saga, which is the Clone Saga. But I actually really did like this issue. I think this saga is going to open up some doors to meet Morbius the Vampire and of course Blade a little bit more in detail. I can't remember whether we actually see Morbius the Vampire and Blade in the future of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics after this saga. I think this is the only time that we are going to see these characters, but hopefully we'll see them again very, very soon after the next issue, like in the future somewhere. So, yeah. As for this issue, guys, this is Ultimate Spider-Man issue 95, and I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10. I loved it how you genuinely felt worried for Ben Urich's character, and just how Spider-Man dealt with Mary Jane, like the whole thing where their relationships are clashing. It's all getting crazy from that standpoint, but then the introduction of Blade and Morbius the Vampire and the whole vampire sort of saga coming around and Spider-Man's reaction to it, and it is just crazy. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I am so sorry, and I hope you like my appearance. I mean, I'm trying to stay warm. I've got 2 hoodies on, I've got like a scarf and I've got sunglasses because my eyes are really sensitive. So yeah, let me know what you think of this issue in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want more comic reviews like this. Of course, I still need to review the Spider-Man comics. I mean, I'm getting around to them, but obviously I'm pretty much really ill at the minute, so I'm trying to do the best I can. Don't forget to check out my second YouTube channel. The link is in the description with the video and everything. I hope you like it. And of course, you can still enter the giveaway for the Miles Morales pop figure on there as well. Just leave a comment on that video. And so, yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. It is so warm right now. And I'll see you guys in my next video. See you later.